second and 3, 2, 1. All right. So for our second installment in Plek Stories, what we are going to do today is tackle a very controversial instrument for the Plek Station, the classical guitar. We have had many questions of people wanting to plek their classical, but they didn't think that it was something that was going to be possible. Now there are a couple little hurdles that we have to get through. For one, the sensor needs to have an electric current running through the strings in order to read everything. So what we've had to do is put on 2 sets of bass strings just to simulate the tension of the treble strings. So we have E, A, D, E, A, and D. And that is going to give the neck the same tension as it would with the higher strings on it. And the other problem that classical guitars have is seldom do they have a truss rod in it. So there's not a lot of breathing room with this. Fortunately for this guitar, this is a Yamaha CG22S. It's just beautiful, but the customer felt like the action was just a little bit too high for him. Now, I love using the classical guitar to explain about the different kinds of action that different kinds of players need. Like take a flamenco player versus a classical player. They're using essentially the same instrument, but because of their style of attack, the string has a very different kind of vibration. The classical player tends to be a lot more gentle and a lot more precise, where a flamenco player just lets the guitar have it. So for a flamenco player, there's going to be a much wider berth of the vibration for the string. But in this case, this guy is kind of sitting halfway between. He's a very passionate player, but also he tends to play more classical music. So I'm going to lower the action a little bit on this, as well as dress up the frets. So what we're going to do now, we've already done the virtual fret dress. Everything's ready to go. I'm going to take the strings off of it and let her rip. So stay tuned. What's very, very important when setting up any instrument in the machine is you do not want the strings to be able to be anywhere near the spinning blade, because the blade is going to be going beep, 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 or zip, 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 zip. And if a string is in the way, it's going to get them. So for extra added insurance, I like to make sure there's as much clearance for it as possible. And since we don't want the guitar to move around while it's in place, strap it in nice and tight. And we're ready to go. So, in you go, fella. And as usual, after all the fret dressing is done, we want to restring the guitar and put it in for a final scan. So, in you go. Okay, now, the Plek has done its job, the frets are all good, the job is far from over. The next stage is, since the frets had a lot of material taken down off of them, we're going to have to readjust the nut. We are going to lower the bridge a little bit as well, and we'll see just what everything brings. So, let's get her out of the Plek Station and onto the workbench. Let's make some magic happen. Oh, that sounded terrible when I said that, didn't I? So corny. But it's fun. Now, one thing that's important to remember about the Plek Station is it does complete frets only. So if you look over here on the classical, most and almost practically almost all classicals have this partial fret thing here. So what happens is now this fret is going to be a little bit too high compared to the other ones. So we're going to bring them down a little bit, just like so. And then we're going to treat them the same way as we would any other fret, just crowning and recrowning and sanding. Now the good thing about this fret is it doesn't really matter if it's that much lower than the other ones, because since it's the last one, it doesn't have another one to buzz off of. So we can be a little bit more liberal with it, but again, we want to be as precise as possible. This is one of the reasons why I want to say that if the Plek Station, while it does a lot of great work, it still does take a skilled and knowledgeable luthier to be able to get the most out of it. You can't just have somebody who is a very novice at guitar repair and throw it in there and expect a miracle. You really do have to have somebody who understands all the subtle little nuances that makes a guitar what it is. I hope to someday be that person. This is also why most repairmen prefer to work in the back room, is because when customers see somebody doing this, it's kind of like watching your children go through surgery. And of course, we love to use some quadruple-aught steel wool. Gives it that nice shiny feel. And finally, we like, just to give the frets that buttery, shiny, glossy feel, use a little bit of buffing compound. Alright, so he just got his classical guitar, so let's see how it sounds for him.
Difference. Wow. Yeah. This went from a good guitar to a great guitar.
Awesome, awesome. So any first impressions? Like
up here, the amount of work I have to do is so much less.
Good.
I can tell a couple of pieces that I'm playing, I have a lot of stuff up in the ninth position.
Okay.
It's physically really difficult to do, and I like the higher tension strings because they project more.
Good.
And right there alone, even that piece that goes up into this range is just so much less work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, your smile says it all today for us.
It'll be like pieces that I struggled to play will now become a lot easier.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely happy with it.
Okay.
Feels
Well.
great.
Once again, we got the
Happy customer.
and it might be also good to note, he's also a teacher, so we get the passing grade on this one?
Absolutely.
Awesome, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.